Welcome to episode 622 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and Barca keep on winning, so I keep doing these 5 headlines. Yeah, I'm not going to do the other ones as long as they keep winning and people keep asking for the 5 headlines. And they also keep putting up 5 goals or something like that. So I think it's enough reasons to continue with the headlines. I want to thank everybody who joined the live stream preview on YouTube before the match today, and then join me for the watch along on Big Up. All that support is a huge help. It helps me on both those platforms. We also debuted on Big Up the tactics board today, so you'll be seeing that here for the 5 headlines. And if you want more of that as the game is actually happening, again, that's Big Up for the watch alongs down in the description of the show notes below. And if you're a regular podcast listener, I do still appreciate everyone that puts me in their ears more than once or twice a week. So thanks so much, as always, for supporting me. And especially a thank you to my Patreons. Can't continue to do this without your help at this point. So now as we jump into the 5 headlines, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the YouTube channel, give it a like, or on the podcast apps, give a nice rating. Let's dive in. Here are the 5 headlines for the 5-1 victory over Sevilla. Headline 1 is overload the middle. Sevilla and Garcia Pimienta, gosh, I love me some Garcia Pimienta, but he got his tactics wrong. And Hansi Flick, not that he got his tactics right, but his tactics have not really met, except for the 2 outlier games against Osasuna, where he started the kid back line, or against Monaco, where he had the early red card to Eric Garcia and played a man down. No team has really figured out not what Hansi Flick is doing. They know what he's doing. They just can't seem to stop it. Sevilla and Garcia Pimienta incorrectly began with a 5 at the back, and so they were overrun in midfield quite a bit. And again, if you join me on Big Up, you already saw this, but hey, let's break out the tactics board now here on the 5 headlines as well. I want to show you this because in the early going, this did change, and we're going to have some more stuff coming in future headlines. But the early overload in the middle situation that Barcelona was able to have, and for our purposes today, the little Fort Pedri thing, Fort is Pedri for this example. So I know you're seeing it on the screen. I can't change it. We're going to work on that. So yes, Fort is Pedri in this situation today, but everybody else is right. So the overload in the middle came about because Ansu Fati was dropping over to the center, even though it was Rafinha as the 10. But you had Ansu Fati dropping over to the center. Of course, Balde is wide, because right here is a little sweet spot between Fort and Fati and Rafinha. And the goal of this, as we're going to actually move Lamine Yamal this way a little bit, the goal is to bring Lamine Yamal into the middle of this little circle here. And we can also say that this is happening up in the box as well. And then when the times were coming for Lewandowski to drop in, Lewandowski would drop in, and Rafinha would be the one making the run into the half space. So keeping Pedri and Fati and Lewandowski tight, you keep Fati and Balde tight out here. And again, trying to bring Koundé in from that right, or Yamal in from the right, so that when you move Koundé forward, when you kept Yamal to the wing, then you had Koundé dropping in here. So everybody pushes forward, and this is still that little channel where you're looking for everybody. And Castro just continued to win ball after ball after ball after ball there. Even in the first 2 minutes, I thought Castro, who could have been the man of the match, if not for all the other goals, but Castro won 2 balls in the first 10 minutes when this game was still scoreless. Either he was stepping in, he was throwing his full body in, not committing the fouls. He had the block in the 19th minute. Castro, I thought, set the tone of this match. And as we see our little center of fun, where Sevilla were completely overrun with players. Again, Fort is Pedri reminder. Castro kept winning it right at the edge of that little ball of fun. And then Pedri could step in. Again, Fati, as we're going to go over his stats in the 4th headline, but he was also at least putting enough pressure where the ball would be popped loose. And now you have Balde pressing. All of that pressing for Barcelona all worked together. And for Eric Garcia getting hurt right before the game began and throwing in Ansu Fati, this tells you that Hansi Flick has a system and trains in a way that everybody knows what they have to do, even if they're thrown in the starting lineup like Ansu Fati was 5 minutes ago. You put in a forward for a midfielder, entirely different positions, but the game plan stayed the same. That is a huge compliment to Hansi Flick. Now, what Sevilla could have had an opportunity to do is find that space in behind Balde. Luca Bacchio was looking to find that space, and he did once in the first half, but the offside and that high line was still working to good effect for Barcelona because, as I said, they were basically winning every 50-50 ball. There was a stat that the ESPN broadcast had midway through, I believe, the first half, and then it was still the case in the second half. Barcelona were winning 30% of their interceptions from midfield into Sevilla's we'll say, break the field into 25% little chunks there, and they were winning 30% of their balls in that little 50 or that little 25% between midfield and then the half that Sevilla had going on there. And winning the second ball in Hansi Flick's system means you're going to be on the front foot. And that's all you need to know about overloading the midfield, because once you have more bodies in the middle and you win the ball, then everything is direct, everything is vertical, and there's too much pressure for your opponent to deal with, even for a half of football. Headline 2 is survive and succeed. Yeah, there was a point in this game when it was still 0-0. I know the final scoreline makes me forget what happened in the first half, but 17th minute, Ansu Fati mishit a shot. Koundé found Rafinha in the half space. The cutback to Ansu was good, but Ansu couldn't find the back of the net. And Sevilla had their little chances there. They were percolating a little bit, but then the 22nd minute comes along, the 1-0, and with Castro already setting the tone, this one goal felt like a mountain for Sevilla, which has kind of been the case. They've been playing a lot of close games this season. Garcia Pimienta, it's going to take him time to get his ideas into his team if they can pick it up, and they haven't yet so far. And unfortunately, when they go down 1-0 in the way that they did in the 22nd minute, it's a hard way to dig themselves out of this hole. It is a soft penalty, I thought, as well, but it wasn't the arm. It was definitely soft on the arm. I don't think it's a PK, but it was the knee of former Barcelona Academy product in Gerard Piqué Fernandez. His knee hits the back of Rafinha. Rafinha sells it and goes down. So on the second look, yes, it's a PK. If Rafinha doesn't go down, no, it's not a PK. So does it mean it shouldn't be one at all? Well, I think you go either way on this. It is soft, and if Madridistas are down in my comments or hitting me up on social media or bothering you as a fellow Kool-Aid, well, you know why. I think this is one of those that kind of went Barca's way. Lewandowski scores the PK on the slow run-up. I know people hate it, but hard to argue. It's his second PK in the Liga, 11th goal in the league to start this season. You can talk about his form on the PK all you want, but he scores it, and this man cannot stop scoring. He's also the first Liga player with this goal to score 30 goals since the start of last season. He looked so much better, and I, in headline 1, just showed you why. The close association with an attacking midfielder and bringing that inverted left winger over, but protecting them so they don't have to run all the way back and defend, and protecting them there with the two midfielders in behind, the effort of Castro, and playing that high line means that the risk and reward, I talked about that a lot in the preview. I talked about it on the watch along. The risk and reward of that high line is permeating all the way up there to the center forward. Lewandowski was often on an island, but he is not on an island this season under Hansi Flick because the defense is so much closer to him, which means the midfield is closer to him, which means he has other teammates to associate with. He also looks very healthy. That's, I think, all those different reasons why I think I named 3 there that you're seeing Lewandowski succeed in the way he is. He looks better on the ball even. He's playing with more confidence with the ball at his feet, and he just looks right this season. And the risk and reward is when you play a high line, you leave space in behind, and you might get caught out. But the reward is you're constantly putting the opposition under pressure, and you can score goals in bundles, as has happened multiple times this season. Speaking of goals, the 2-0, 28th minute, Pedri helps turn it over, and then he's off to the races on one side of the field as everyone else builds it up on the other side of the field. Lewandowski gets it wide to Lamine Yamal. Koundé came inside, as I kind of was drawing that up, inside to attract the other midfielder, and then Pedri arrived late and got it on target. That's his 3rd goal of the season. As I said, if you get 6 or 7 goals from Pedri this year, it's success. If he hits double digits, that would be great. But for him to already have his 3rd, chef's kiss, stay healthy, Pedri, and continue to score those goals. And yeah, that's definitely Lamine Yamal's assist there. 35th minute, almost a third. Rafinha let it roll past him and the keeper, but no one was behind him. And then a minute later, off to the races. Cubarsí has been quietly excellent again in that match too against Sevilla. He got the counter started. I'd find it hard to find a center back in world football who's a teenager who plays the ball as well as Pau Cubarsí. His stats are just off the charts with those advanced metrics on ball playing ability. Lewandowski's effort, though, was saved by the keeper, Nealon, who did have a few moments in this game where it could have been much worse for Sevilla, but yeah, he still conceded 5 in this game. Headline 3 is things going Barca's way. They continued, I should say, to go Barca's way. Spoiler alert for the rest of these 5 headlines. A 3-0 off the corner. Lewandowski redirects Rafinha's shot for his brace. His 12th Liga goal, cannot stop scoring. Just talked in that last headline as to why Lewandowski has been so good, and even a little bit of luck. This redirect, it's a lot of skill, a lot of experience, and a little bit of luck to even stay on side. It was ever so close, but he stays on side and gets another brace. And if Lewandowski is just going to score and everyone else at Barca can just worry about the rest of what they're doing, it breeds confidence throughout the entire team. Lewandowski was also full of skill on the day, with the exception of that one giveaway in Barca's half in the first half when he tried to get a bit too fancy. I thought he was really tidy with the ball, and probably in that first half could have even had a first half hat trick, as Lionel Messi for Inter Miami yesterday had that second half off the bench hat trick. Lewandowski almost had it in the first half today, and then Costa also had a long range shot that was just off the mark. Another late run from Barcelona. Lamine Yamal also missed one wide near the end of the first half. And I thought at halftime, I just spoke about Pedri's goal and then Casado with that late run attempt. If you're Garcia Pimienta and talking to the Sevilla team, you've got to make sure somebody's got an eye on those late runners coming in from the midfield into the box, and they didn't figure it out. So let's break that down here. Again, a reminder, somehow if you just started watching the video now, Fort is Pedri in this situation. But here I'm setting up in that box how these late runners keep happening. You have Ansu and you have Lewandowski attracting so much attention. And because Rafinha is such a threat in that half space and he keeps making that run in, then obviously, yes, it's Pedri able to make that run in. It's Casado able to make those runs in. And as I had said before, if you're going to put Rafinha up into the half space, Koundé was even doing a good job when Lamine Yamal, I should say, wasn't coming across, because the ball from Lamine Yamal is such a threat. And I'll use this little marker here. This little cross in from Lamine Yamal to that back post is such a threat on that ball that Koundé just gets so much space coming in as well. And now you're pulling. We're going that from a ball to the opposition. So now you're pulling the defenders over to Koundé. And if you're going to run a midfield three in Sevilla, they just don't have enough players to come across in the middle of the box there. So that late runner, we have really not seen since, Paulinho, maybe? Consistently a player coming into the box late. Arturo Vidal tried to do it. It didn't necessarily work. Pedri, a lot of his success from goal-scoring position in his career has been that way. And that little cross I just mentioned there, Lamine Yamal basically almost had that as a shot, except it came from the other side. For some reason, he was out on the left, because I think this forward line too, with that number 10, rotates really well and creates space by running into the half space. And Lamine Yamal started that second half with an incredible outside of the boot shot that Needham had to save its full extension in the top corner. Could have been a golazo for a player that just received his first ever Player of the Month award for the Liga. Also on the other side, I want to give credit. I said Kubarsi in the first half. Second half, fantastic tackle by Inigo Martinez. Early in that second half was fantastic. Kept this game 3-0. Rafinha was offside a little bit after that. The outside of the boot on the cross from Lamine Yamal. He was still in his bag, even though, he had an assist, but felt like there could have been other Lamine Yamal moments. Then finally, the 59th minute, Romero just offside, because it would have been a penalty kick against Kubarsi if not. But Barcelona, a little bit fortunate there, yes, playing with fire. But that kind of situation, of course, the one negative thing I think I'll say in this match review is that against Bayern Munich, against Real Madrid, you might be in a little bit more trouble. Headline 4 is defending him until the end. Yes, I'm talking about Ansu Fati here, because the longer time goes on, the more I'm just going to think of the good moments in this match and forget the bad ones. And so I'm going to defend him even harder. Anyone who's been around my channel for 5 years now know that my heels are dug in until he is no longer an FC Barcelona player, until he is no longer under contract, until he's no longer being sent out on loan, until he is owned by another team in totality. I'm going to defend Ansu Fati because I think he fully understands what is being asked of him. Here's my positives for him on the day. He came in late to the starting lineup, and he knew exactly where to be on that press. He created space for the late runners, as I just spoke about. He worked hard on that press as the top of that diamond, with Lewandowski then in behind him, and Barcelona consistently won those second balls. He did not leave space for Sevilla to pass through Barcelona's press. And all of that stuff kind of goes unnoticed. Barcelona fans, Ansu Fati, the teammates, everybody wants him to score. Everyone wants him to have some goal contributions. He wants it. Everybody wants it. On the watch along, I have to give credit because somebody mentioned that he thought it was urgency instead of frustration, and it might be a little bit of both. Forwards want to score. And so when teammates were missing him, especially in the second half, when Barcelona were comfortably up 3 and 4-0, he wanted a goal. He wanted to be a part of that. Well, I should say it was 3-0 at that point. Yeah, because then he goes off in the 75th for the 3-0. But anyway, it's a 3-0. He wants to score the fourth. He knows the match is already over. And for body language wise, I would expect that of any forward. But as far as his urgency, he still was defending for his life. And he's not 90 minutes fit. He's not even 75 fit. And so I think I would put that last few minutes of not working hard more on tired legs and the match being over as far as the scoreline than under anything else. His stats for that game, 91% passing, 43 touches, only dispossessed once, one big chance missed, one total shot, one key pass, 0.59 XG, and 0 of 1 on his dribbles. And what I showed you with that tactics board, where he was playing, like you're seeing him as a left winger. That's what's going to look like on all the match reviews and all that stuff. They're going to put him on the left wing because that's where his position was. But we know that's not where his position was, and that's not what his function was today. So I'm going to defend his performance today because he's not fully sharp. He doesn't play that many minutes. And I thought he had moments when he could have done something. And those moments, I still think, will come if he's given time, if he's given moments, and if we're patient. And he's patient. His goal will come. He just has to be patient. And I think what the Hansi Flick has showed you with the likes of Pau Victor and Pablo Torre, we'll get to in the fifth headline, he's going to be patient with his entire team. Because if they're going to score goals like gangbusters and put up 4 and 5 in the Liga, everybody's going to get to eat. And eventually he will too. And he did almost eat in the 72nd minute. Pedri drops in an absolute dime and Fati heads it right at the keeper. But that was the moment. And more of those moments will come. He's smart in the box at his positioning. He puts himself in dangerous spots. And I think he's a good finisher. And it will come. He also got a yellow card for the tackle. So yeah, maybe a bit of frustration on the day. And then headline 5 is who doesn't love a good return? We have to wait to talk about Gavi. We'll get to him in a second. 65th minute, Pau Victor and Fermin Lopez on for Lewandowski and Rafinha. And Gavi getting a huge applause just by doing the warm-up, just by getting off the bench. Everyone kind of ready for the moment. 75th minute, Pablo Torre and Gerard Martin in for Ansu Fati, who also got a standing ovation. Kool-Aid's very much like me, supporting him and want the best for him. And Lamine Yamal coming out as well, which is great. Don't have him play the last 20 minutes or so. The 4-0, Pablo Torre, solid team goal here. The ball started on the left. It's a numerical overload. Pau Victor's toe poke got it across the box. Little thing that I want to say, good job on Pau Victor. And then Torre to Pedri to Koundé, and then the cutback for Torre, and the deflection on the shot. Doesn't matter. They all count the same. Then the 83rd minute, here come the goosebumps. Here come the good vibes. Gavi's return, the standing ovation, and Pedri hands him the captain's armband to put the cherry on top of this return. Pau Victor probably could have added one late to add to that party, but instead it was the youngster in Adumbo for Sevilla who looked to add one late, the 4-1, with fresh legs and youthful speed. He came over from young Ajax. Looks like Sevilla did their scouting right. A lot of speed. Finally catches that high line napping. I'm not too worried about that. We already said Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. It's going to happen if it happens in those matches, but this game was already in second gear, 4-1. Then the 5-1, Barcelona, good response. They give up a goal and they respond. Pablo Torre gets a brace here and gets credit for the free kick goal. Went through everybody. Inigo Martinez was onside and he missed it. Probably good that he did, because I don't think from that angle, I think that one's skying right over the top of his head. But Nealon also got caught ball watching. Kubarsi was the one who looked offside, but Inigo Martinez wasn't, and Kubarsi did not affect the play at all, and that's what they were reviewing. That's now 3 goals in the Liga this season for Pablo Torre in limited time. Again, Pablo Torre is getting goals. Pedri's getting goals. Ansu Fati will get his goals, and we got nothing but good vibes for Barcelona. That means that those good vibes are going to have to be sustained, regardless of what happens in the next 2 matches, because on Wednesday, it's Bayern Munich, so a half an hour, just like against Sevilla, a half an hour beforehand on the YouTube channel, I will have the preview. And we're going to take 30 minutes of the live stream on YouTube, and we're going to jump over to Big Up together for the 3 o'clock match start time against Bayern Munich. Again, that is 3 p.m. on Big Up for that one, where we're going to do the tactics board. I'll have people in the chat. We're going to be having fun watching that match. And then, of course, I'll have the 5 headlines afterwards on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then, of course, Real Madrid is this weekend too. So the hits just keep on hitting for Barcelona. The goals keep on pouring in. And now it's time for the big matches. So I'm glad that you joined me for this one. Another big 5 headlines for Barcelona, another big scoreline. And as always, until next time, Forza Barça.